Hi everybody, I'm Janaea. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about activating our inner connection. Sometimes we're talking about mental health related topics, spirituality, combination of both. I don't know how you even really separate the two, but that's what my whole focus is here. And today I'm specifically talking about what I personally find to be a very annoying jingle on YouTube right now. Because we are in election season and I love watching YouTube and being on YouTube and all these things. This is fantastic, right? You know, hearing other people's content, listening to other ideas, and then right in the middle of it, this jingle pops up and it goes something like this. We all care a lot about our neighborhood, our neighborhood, our neighborhood. We all care a lot about our neighborhood, except for Larry, who doesn't vote. It has been stuck in my head for hours. And so I was sitting with this going like, oh my gracious, how long is this thing going to stay in my head? And how can I get it out? And it's like, wow, what an amazing example of societal conditioning at work, because that is exactly what happens, right? In society, when we're having all this conditioning inundating us every single day, they do these little tricks, right, of the trade. If I make it into a fun little tune, fun little jingle, then it's going to get stuck in that head and everything, and the person's going to know that if they vote, they're a good person. And if they don't vote, then they're like Larry, and Larry's a bad person. So let's just break that down. So we have that little message being sent. And in that message, that's the only thing that I'm hearing, right? Voting's good. Not voting means I'm bad and I don't care about my neighborhood. But we're going to dissect this in today's video. We're going to break it down, tear it apart, and see just how much truth there is to that whole surface level message that we're getting. So here we got Larry. Okay, I'm putting this down here. So we got Larry and we got, let's say, us. All right, so we got Larry and us. I don't know if this is going to come out right. Okay, well, basically, Larry's bad because Larry doesn't vote. We're good because we do. Okay, Larry bad, us good. Very simple. It's an all or nothing approach. If you do this, you're good. If you don't do this, you're bad. Right? Well, then this leads to Larry is less than us. Right? And we are superior. So Larry's less than, we're superior. And then I thought a little bit more about that. It's like, wow. So here we got Larry who's less than, all the rest of us are good, we're superior. Well, what does that bring about? We've got shame, blame, guilt, right? So here we have all of these feelings coming up: shame, blame, guilt, because towards Larry and anybody who's like Larry, whoever falls in the Larry camp, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. They ought to feel guilty. They need to blame themselves because they don't care about their neighborhood because they're not out there voting. And then I thought about it. I was like, I'm a voter. I totally believe in voting. Have been ever since I've been able to vote. And now I've learned I can vote early. So then I was like, I get extra points. I'm an extra good person because I voted early. So not only am I already good and superior to Larry because I voted, but I voted early, so yay me, right? And then I was like, wow, what a number we're doing on ourselves and each other when we buy into these little jingles or these messages that are snuck in there so exquisitely, right? I mean, they do an amazing job. These advertisers, these people who do this, they know what they're doing. And it's like, wow, you know what? That's no longer the type of world, at least for me personally, that I feel like subscribing to, and allowing myself to live on autopilot in terms of believing that because this message says this one thing to be the case, and therefore it is, and I'm just going to live my life that way. And then every time I come across a Larry, I'm just going to automatically put Larry in that little bad box that he gets to be in, because that's the message that got imprinted in my head. And they did such a good job of it that it's a jingle that I can't stop replaying and singing over and over again for hours. sometimes days, until all of this is over. It could be weeks after the election's done, and it might still be playing, right? So let's break this down a little bit more deeply. Let's ask some questions, because this conditioning comes about and it's presented to us in such a way that we just take it for face value without actually examining any further how true it is. First off, let's find out, who's Larry? What kind of a person is Larry in the community? Why doesn't Larry vote? How do I know that Larry didn't vote? Maybe Larry is a private person. Maybe Larry doesn't like to get stickers and put them on his shirts or his hats or whatever. He just feels like, look, that's my business. I go in, I vote, I do my thing, I leave. How do I know that that's not the case for Larry? How do I know that Larry doesn't need more information about the system and the elections and what's taking place right now, or what the issues are? Maybe Larry is like some of the rest of us in the world who, when we get all those political pamphlets in, they go straight into the recycling bin because it's so much to take in and we've become overwhelmed in the world with the amount of information being thrown at us. Yeah, it's in my recycling bin right now. I don't need to look at all of that. I know how to find my information, So maybe Larry is the same way. Maybe Larry is somebody perhaps who has lost faith in the power of his voice in the community. Perhaps Larry feels weighted down. Perhaps Larry just feels like there's nothing that he can do or say anymore to make this world a better place, or make his neighborhood a better place. His faith in that is gone. And so therefore his voice is gone too. How do we know that Larry isn't somebody who perhaps is very active in the community? Maybe he's more active than the voters are. Maybe he's out there actually creating organizations or participating in charitable works, or he may be volunteering and everything on a regular basis, or who knows what Larry is doing. He may be a small business owner who's like, I'm busy, yet he's just doing the best he can to keep himself afloat. There are just things that we need to allow ourselves the time to step back from these conditioned messages, this very well done programming that we are inundated with, to find out, wait a minute, just how true actually is this? And that's the control that we have. We don't have control over what advertisers do, or marketing strategies that are put out there, or what jingles are made, or whatever, but we have control over how we allow them to come into our space and into our lives and attach into our, if we want to attach to them or not, we have control over that. And since I can't get this stinking jingle out of my head, I'm choosing just to have fun with it and dance with it. So I was making some food earlier. I was like, okay, it's in my head. Let's just dance with it, have fun, and know that, well, I don't think Larry's a bad person. I'm not going to shame Larry or guilt Larry. I don't even know who Larry is. But I do know what's right for me. I know that I'm somebody, I do want to vote and everything. And I do not have a right to shame anybody else or place blame or guilt onto anybody else if they choose not to vote. And I'm just using, the elections is just a topic. This is just something because of that jingle. But we can take these questions and we can ask them to many other situations that we come across and many other messages that we get within society, and tear it apart, really break it down to the fine details and see how true actually is this message that I'm getting, and is this something that I want to buy into or not? We have the right to decide that. And the more that we choose to break these things down, the more that we choose to examine them more deeply, that is what allows us to foster a greater connection both with ourselves and with others in the world, and with our community, and in our neighborhoods, and with everybody who we come across. Because we're no longer allowing ourselves to live in this space of autopilot, of just saying, I'm just going to be the robot that goes along and does what the jingle tells me to do. I'm going to believe what the jingle says. I'm going to treat other people the way in which the jingle is treating them. Because in that, if you've seen the commercial, then you also notice, because it's these puppets and they're singing, right? And then Larry comes out, and then they just go, except for Larry, who doesn't vote. And then everybody just stops and stares at Larry, and Larry's like, this bad person. And it's that message of, hey, if you don't do this, you're going to get shunned. If you don't go with the crowd, if you're not in line, then you're not going to be treated as well. So there are those messages, and we each get to decide, are we going to be that kind of person who's going to say, I'm gonna be mean to the Larrys out there in the world. And for you real Larrys out there in the world, I'm not talking about you. Just this, for this example in this jingle. But again, when we start to ask ourselves deeper questions, we foster that greater connection. We get to understand more deeply what's actually going on. And we get to also understand more deeply what's going on within us and what's going on within others, right? And then all that conditioning that we're inundated with, it starts to fall away. And so that's one of the things that I feel is of utmost importance. If you're somebody who's on the path of trying to connect more deeply with yourself, my tagline is activating interconnection. That's something that is important to you. Well, then taking that time to step back, and look more deeply will allow you to do that. And it will just help you to know yourself better. Help you to know, wait a minute, if I am buying into this jingle, why am I doing that? And do I want to? Does it feel good to me? Is it right for me or not? Yeah. So that's what I want to say about that. But let's start actually really challenging these conditioned messages that we are inundated with, and start releasing some of them so that we can be tapped in here to ourselves. All right, I will look forward to seeing you all again soon. And until then, I hope all is going well and you're taking good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.